photos then, just in case I need them. Get this tea brewing. Hi, Bee. Hope you haven't been waiting too long. We got some lovely tea today, by the way. It's my favourite one. Do you remember what it's called? I thought it was very on point for what we were going to be doing this evening. It's a tough question. I have a lot of favourite teas, to be fair. It's the campfires and vampires one. So that's green tea with rose and cinnamon. Yeah, see, there you got it. Those are my two favourites. And it's in my little, I'm not sure if you can see it from here, little rat mug. It's got a little rat on there. Handmade by Little Wren Pottery. It's one of my favourite ceramic artists. So, I have a massive pile of books here. I was just going to do a few, and then I ended up going through the bookshelves and went, oh my goodness, there's so many here that inspired me as a child. And my mum was there as well, so she ended up sort of pulling a few out, saying, I could not get you out of these when you were younger, so I thought it'd be nice just to sort of do a few of them really, and really go through them and have a look, because some of them I do remember, but I don't remember being that in depth with them, but she does, so I thought it'd be really, really nice. So the first one that we are going to go for, a bit of a disclaimer, this isn't the original book that I had. The original book that I had was, is currently in storage, and it has been sellotaped together so many times because I just read it to death when I was a child. So we're going to start off with my all-time favourite book, work of fiction, which is The Hobbit. Now, I got this version when I picked up my poor copy of The Hobbit, which was initially my mum's. And so many pages were falling out, I had to tape them back together. So I thought, right, I need to put that one away and preserve it because it's special. And I'll get myself a new version that I can read whenever I want without fear of it falling apart. So a couple of years ago, I think it was, they brought out this special edition of The Hobbit. So it's a very special size. This size was done especially for this limited edition. It's got beautiful artwork on the front and back. It's absolutely beautiful. It's got the J.R. Tolkien sigil up there as well. I'm not sure if it's going to focus on it. So it's beautiful. You've got Smaug up here. Now there's lots of debate whether it's Smaug or Smaug. I've always read it as Smaug and seen it as Smaug, so that's just the way I'm going to say it. But look at this little dragon up here. It's so cute. But yeah, and then it's got the dwarven runes all along the top here as well and around the borders. So it's a beautiful book. It did cost a bit extra, but I thought actually this is just a beautiful thing. It's just a plain book within the dust cover. It's proper old-fashioned, which is nice. And then inside, we come to the bits that really inspired me as a child. So you've got the map. So you've got the Lonely Mountain here and Smaug. The running river, even the compass, just everything that Tolkien did down to the... So these are all his sketches. So when he made The Hobbit, there were a bunch of sketches and drawings that he did that he wasn't going to include. And I believe it was his son who said include them and really pushed him to get all this out there. So there's just so many beautiful illustrations in here. One of my all-time favourites is the one of the dragon himself. I mean, look at that. I have hummed and hawed for a long time, considering getting that as a tattoo, just as a tribute to my favourite book in the whole world, and it's a dragon as well, so can't go wrong with that. Yeah, this is a beautiful book. Not just this edition, just the story in general. It was a really special thing. Well, I think I was maybe 5 when I first encountered this. I'd seen it on the wall in the bookshelves. Look, all these illustrations as well. So yeah, I'd seen this on the bookshelf, and one day I snuck away with it and I started reading it, and I could not put it down. It's just such a magical story, and it just completely filled my head with dwarves and distant mountains and quests and gold and dragons and elves and mysterious folk and wizards. And it's just, I know some people don't get on with Tolkien. They find the way he writes a bit sort of, it draws on a bit. I love the way he writes. I like the fact that he can take you through a forest and he will describe every bit of moss, every mushroom, every stone to you. I love that. It's a masterclass in world building, this book. And I believe it was a very early influence for my artwork. Certainly the more folk style of things. So, yeah, I mean, I watched the, it's like Lord of the Rings. Like, I watched the films. I attempted to read the books, but that, again, was when I was a lot younger. I think I was maybe 10 or 11 when I tried to read those. I read this when I was 5, going on 6. And I thought, well, I enjoyed this, so Lord of the Rings shouldn't be a problem for me. So when I did end up reaching out and getting the copy that was on the bookshelf, I got maybe halfway through the Fellowship of the Ring, and my little 11-year-old brain just couldn't handle it. I still haven't gone back to it, which is awful. I know I should, because I love the world and I love the universe. But I struggle quite a bit with reading. So as much as I love reading books, I've never been diagnosed with dyslexia or anything like that. But I do struggle to read sort of reams of just text, which is probably why I became an illustrator, not a writer, to be honest. The other lovely thing about this book and what inspired me were the songs and the poems that were just flung in. They didn't have to be. He could have easily just said, and they sang a song about this, but he wrote the songs that they were singing, and it was just, yeah, you can probably hear him getting a bit emotional. It's just a beautiful book, and oh, there we go. There's a major influence there. Where's it gone? You can probably see this in some of my artwork from, where did it go? Oh, it's disappeared on me now. So the problem with these pages is they're so damn small and fiddly. There we go. So this one, this is actually one of my favourite parts. It's the trolls at the campfire, but I don't know if it's going to focus. You can probably see the influence there. Oh, this is the sort of stuff that was, it just really inspired me when I was younger. I thought, wow, look at the way that's drawn. And I obviously had a bit of an arty brain already at a young age, because I was looking and going, I want to try that. I want to try and draw like that. So all my scribbles, you know, smoke and fire became like this. And it's not really changed that much, to be honest. So yes, so I will stop fawning over this book because it is my favourite. That's why I thought I'd get it out the way early, because I could talk all night about this book. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So, there we go. There's some trees. Lots of people like the way I draw trees. Well, this is probably one of the early influences that I had, was this book. So yeah, so that's the first book, and I'm glad I got it out of the way first, because like I said, I can talk about it all night. It's just a wonderful book. If you haven't read it, if you haven't experienced The Hobbit, please go and do it, because it's wonderful. Take as long as you need with it, just fall in love with it and just tiptoe through it. Read a couple of pages at a time if you want to. It's just, I really recommend it. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. There's so much in here. There's a whole world in here, and it's one of those books that I just keep going back to time and time again. So that's book number 1. Well, I'm doing it because I want you to read it because it's fun and wonderful, not because of any academic reason. This one is one that is again quite special, because not only did Mum read it to me, when my younger sibling came along, I would then read it to them. And this is our copy of the Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass. It's quite an old book. I believe a lot of our books came secondhand in charity shops and things like that. It's a stunning book. It's quite a tome. It's quite big, but also just the right size to be curled up with Mum, looking over her shoulder as she reads it. So yeah, it's a beautiful sized book. So this one has some wonderful illustrations in it. They're quite bizarre, some of them, like they're really elongated, but the key influence that I think probably came from these was the cross-hatching and the way I shade with line. It's a gorgeous book. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. Some of the illustrations are quite subtle, but beautiful nonetheless. It's just, lots of people are familiar with Alice in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass. And this just really takes you back to a sort of a vintage time. And the illustrations feel oddly a mix of old and contemporary. You know, they're a lovely hybrid between the two. So some of it's quite bizarre, but yeah, beautiful book. Definitely inspired me quite a bit, especially when you look at the way some of the animals are drawn. So yeah, another beautiful book that I highly recommend. I mean, there are so many renditions of Alice in Wonderland out there with different illustrators and different printers and stuff and different sizes, but this one's bizarre. It doesn't feel quite like the traditional one. We did have a traditional copy as well, but this is a lovely one. So that's that one. Oh Lord, right. This one is, this, I'm going to quick sip of my tea so my throat doesn't dry out. So this next one is one of the ones that Mum pointed out to me. She said, I could not get you out of this book when you were younger. It's actually by an artist who a lot of people probably know. If you don't know the name, you will know the patterns when I show you. This is the works of, it's a big book, of William Morris. So William Morris wasn't just an illustrator and artist. He was very much a designer as well. And as we look through this, you will probably recognize a lot of the patterns in here. It's all over curtains, fabrics, you name it. There's probably William Morris somewhere near you at this very moment in time. He was very, very influential. He actually founded, with a few other members, the Morris & Co. company, who created beautiful textiles, and it was form over function, and things that function should be beautiful. So he designed these beautiful wallpapers and fabric designs. So even the most mundane things, so say like a seat cushion could be exquisite and beautiful and special for the everyday. So let's have a look at this one. There's a lot of writing in this one. There's a chap himself. So there is not just his patterns in here, but there's, I'm trying to do this with, oh, it's such a big book. Hang on, let's move it along a bit. Right. So it's not just his designs in here, it's also his illustrations. And sketches and things as examples of the various places where his designs have been. So that's the Kensington Museum. Also includes his influences as well. So it's just all around a really beautiful book. And then we get onto his designs. Look, I mean, I would probably safely say that William Morris and the work he did was he's the grandfather of textile design, I would say, in this form. Just the way he designs things is absolutely stunning. I won't go through all this with you because, again, a big book with lots and lots of information in it. But it's a wonderful thing. But all of his designs were just very, very special. And you can see, let me see if I can find my favourite one. It's probably in here somewhere. But yeah, so lots of designs ended up being like wallpapers and fabrics and things like that. But all this stuff was very much inspired by the stuff that I love now, which is the illuminated manuscripts of medieval, well, there's like church documents, Bibles, just general illuminated texts, all sorts of things, tapestries. All of that influence he also really, really enjoyed as well. So it's nice to see there's a bit of reflection in there. And I'm sorry if I'm starting to sound like an art history lecturer. I do apologise. So this is meant to be a cozy stream about books and nerding out about art history. I'm sorry. It was part of my degree. I'm sorry. It just happens. So one of the things that they actually had us do, when was it? I think it was in my GCSE, so 15, 16. They said we had to pick an artist for our art project for the year, and we had to study them, do essays on them, mimic their artwork, and then at the end we had to do a version of a piece of artwork inspired by them in their style, which was a really fun project. And I chose William Morris, and I used this book as basically my Bible throughout that whole thing. And I ended up doing a design for some wallpaper following the basic fundamentals of William Morris's designs, which was really, really fun. So, fun fact there. Yes, well, that's the thing. Like a lot of his patterns, I mean, they're all painted like watercolors and hand drawn and everything. And it's just an absolute marvel. And just the delicacy of how he's managed to make such bold prints, but with such fine textures as well. I think that's always been a mind blower for me, really. But yes, this is a wonderful, wonderful book. There it is. There's my favourite one of all time, The Strawberry Thief. This has been and always will be my favourite William Morris design. I don't know if it's going to show up in here, but this one here with the birds and the strawberries. It's always been my favourite, and it's everywhere these days, which is quite nice because it means I can get it on all sorts of things. It is beautiful. It's absolutely wonderful. And this book in general is a great resource to have if you're really interested in that sort of thing. So if you are interested in textiles and patterns and the way things are drawn, almost with a medieval eye, William Morris is your man. 100%. It's just mind-blowing, just absolutely lovely. I mean, I know Liberty of London is a fabric company who do have a lot of the print licenses for the original designs of William Morris. So they do a lot of work reprinting and doing just different colorways and things like that using the blocks, which is fabulous. They don't do it very often though. You can sort of see that the influences here as well. Like, I mean, my new business cards are very of this this feel. So yes, he shared a lot of the similar influences to me. He really loved all the medieval feel stuff and the intricate borders, and just trying to jam pack as much as you physically can into one piece of paper, which I can relate to. So yes, so that was another book that was a big influence to me. So William Morris by himself, edited by Gillian Naylor. So just look for this if that's something you're interested in. Beautiful book, well worth it. And I think it's quite old now, so I imagine it's probably quite cheap as well. Oh, right, the pile's going the other way now. What have we got next? Let me see. Right, quick sip of tea. Aha. Now then. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. Right. So, this book is very much, how to describe it? This book partially formed me as a child. That's probably the best way I can put it. This book was just absolutely everything to me as a wee small bairn. So this is The Flight of Dragons by Peter Dickinson, illustrated by Wayne Anderson. This book is very special. I actually had a copy before. This again isn't my original copy. My original copy, tragically, I moved around a lot during my young uni years and young adult years, and somewhere along the line it got lost and I was devastated. And it was only recently I found another copy of it and I just grabbed it immediately because I was like, I can't be without this book. I've been searching for it for years and I finally got a copy of it again. So they said, oh, it might be because I got it off Amazon. And it's like, oh, it's in used condition. I was like, I don't care. I don't care what kind of state it's in. I just want it. If someone's scribbled all over it, I don't care. I want it. And I will show you why. So this book, you all know that I love dragons and I love drawing them. This book formed how I draw dragons, essentially, when I was a youngster. This and one other book, which I'll show you later. So The Flight of Dragons by Peter Dickinson is a wonderful book because it's not just a book showcasing this art and it's a photo. I mean, look at this, look at the little dragon. This book is almost like a scientific investigation into the logic of dragons. So it goes through how dragons could it's a beautiful blend between fantasy and just pseudoscience, essentially. He just takes you on a journey. You feel that you've gone into this fantasy world and followed this guy who is literally just following dragons and doing a scientific journal on them. It's wonderful. And the illustrations in this are absolutely lovely as well. So this illustrator was a big influence on me as a child. A majority of the pictures are oil paintings, I believe. But yeah, Wayne Anderson is a beautiful illustrator, and this book is absolutely gorgeous. So there's lots of little indented dragons here, there, and everywhere. Oh, look, B, look, there's a U. But yeah, I just adored the style of the way these creatures were drawn. So here you go. So the flying brick. And he basically takes you through sort of like how big their wings must have been, what their bones, whether their bones were hollow or whether they were solid, whether they could inflate themselves like a balloon and then deflate themselves to help with their flight. He even had theories around why they would have fiery breath, which it's such a cool book. It's such a cool book. I cannot sell it enough. I love it so much. It's just, you can't see it, but I've got a massive grin on my face just talking about this book. So yeah, it goes into sort of like the theory of dragons and accounts of dragons, like in various myths and legends and folklore. And then this light above us isn't helping because the pictures are quite dark, but you can probably see some of the influence here. Of just how they're drawn. So this book was a massive influence on me. So there was lots of this Celtic weaving work in here as well. Now, when I was younger, we used to go to all sorts, like we went to Celtica, which was an amazing living museum where you had reenactors pretending to be Celts, and you could go through when you went to go and see a wizard who talked to you. He took you to this magical pool, which actually was a projector and some water, but it would tell you all about the Celts and the history of them and stuff. Went to King Arthur's Labyrinth all the time when I was younger as well. So Celtic stuff, very, very good for young me's, definitely. Very, very influential. Some of these scientific drawings are so cool. I love them. So yeah, there's a lot of text in here as well, but it's well worth the read. It's a wonderful thing. Here we go. This is the thing. Flight cavities. That sounds really silly to say, but this is what I mean. He was talking about how their anatomy might be different, so they could create these almost like honeycomb structure balloons under their skin to help them blow up and like take in a lot, like they'd eat limestone to create the gas in their stomach, which will make this all bloat up so they could fly. It's very cool. I'm nerding out a lot about this. I apologize. So yeah, gorgeous book. This is probably one of the most influential illustrations. I would stare at this for absolutely hours. Look at that face. Look at it. Those feet. But yeah, especially around the face and the claws, I can really see where the influence has come in, and the ridiculously long tails as well. I tend to do that a lot. So yeah, this is a fantastical, wonderful, splendiferous book. It's just, if you're a fan of fantasy and you love dragons and you love everything involving dragons, this is the book for you. They also made a movie of it in I want to say the 80s. You can't find it anywhere these days. If anyone knows where it is, please tell me, because I want to watch it again. I remember the theme tune and I remember a lot of it, and I'm sure it's not as good as I remember, but yes, it was a wonderful thing. So yeah, it's definitely something that belongs in the library if you're a fan of fantasy and dragons. It's well worth it if you can find it. It's quite a rare book nowadays. It took me years to find another copy of it. So yeah. See, just an absolutely beautiful book and well worth it. Well worth it if you can find it, 100%. So I still got the derpy dragon on the back. Look at this guy's face. Look at him. Not a thought behind those eyes. Not a one. But yes, so beautiful book. So The Flight of Dragons by Peter Dickinson and illustrated by Wayne Anderson. Find it and have it. It's amazing. Let me have a look at this. How are we doing for time? Okay. Oh my god, have I been speaking for that long? Just babbling about books. This is a dangerous thing, see? Well, we've got a couple now which are going to be relatively short, so we'll just go through those. This one is actually a series, and it's less about the book and more about the covers. So more nostalgia. When my mum, for those who don't know, isn't a bookworm, she is a book dragon. She hoards books. She has so many books. She has so many bookshelves. I couldn't escape them when I was younger. You know, if I needed something for homework, she'd say, I've got a book on that. I believed her, because I think she has a book on pretty much everything that you could ever ask for. Very much a Renaissance woman. Like, she just has an insatiable lust for learning, which I very much inherited from her. So she has this series of books, which are the Brother Cadfael books by Ellis Peters. It was less about the books. I tried picking these up when I was 5, and nah, there's no way I could read this. I maybe got a couple of pages in, and my poor little brain couldn't handle the language that was in it. Grown-up books and not for children. I am, now that I am under the same roof with my mother again, she has these. I'm going to read them as an adult. I'm sure I'll blast through them now. It's fine. Just not the sort of stuff that is for a 5-year-old. The Hobbit was a bit easier. And the reason I brought this book up was because they used to sit on the shelf like that. This one's got a bit of damage on it. But all with their different colours, all with this illuminated style text and these little medieval style illustrations and the symbol down the bottom, and they were enchanting. And I used to just pull them out and look at the covers and try and imagine what the story was like inside. So in a weird way, they were very influential because they really sparked my imagination and made me fall in love with this whole illuminated text world with all these beautiful details and just the gold and these folky like illustrations. So it's just, yeah, it's just a beautiful book cover. And I know they say never judge a book by its cover, but I think I've spent my entire life doing that, so why stop now? So yeah, just wonderful books. Well, book covers. I will let you know if they're wonderful books. My mum says they're wonderful books. I kind of trust her judgment on that. She does have impeccable taste when it comes to literature. So yes, I will get back to you when I've read these. But for now, we're focusing on the covers. So that's why that's a short one, because there's not really any influence I can draw from here because I don't know what's in there. So I think everybody's heard of this one. This is another bedtime book. So this was another one that we would just, it would be sort of in the little bookshelf and we say, Mum, tell us a story. And quite often it would be Treasure Island. What a great story. And it's been retold so many times over the years, of Jim Hawkins and finding his way, trying to find the treasure, and Long John Silver. It's just a fantastical story. And this book, just not the camera tripod, this book's illustrations are just glorious. There's a lot of them in just pencil, which I really love. And then they've got so many gorgeous illustrations in here. And the paper texture, it's like, it's really hard to describe. There was this time when these books would come out and the paper they just used was like on another level. It's so beautiful. It's quite thick. It's almost like a card, and it's got this beautiful sort of smooth grain to it. It's beautiful. But yeah, I think a lot of the drawings in here were done in pencil and pastels, so they're all very soft and oh. That's obviously someone's homework from a very long time ago. Yeah, it was my sibling. Aw, that's cute. I'll have to put that back in when I'm done. This shows how old these things are. There it is. There's the picture I was looking for. There is Long John Silver with his parrot, his stick, his missing leg. It's just a phenomenal book. It really is a labour of love, especially for the illustrator. I think they've really spent a lot of time on these drawings, and I don't know, there's something about it, they felt so alive, and I think that's what the influence was. I felt like I could just jump into these pictures and join them. And I would practice trying to do the drawings from these books and just go, oh, I wish I could draw like that. So yeah, it's just one of those books that completely takes you away into the story. It's wonderful. It's really, really wonderful. So yes, if you're a fan of Treasure Island, this is a beautiful edition to get. Like I said, the paper's quite thick. It almost feels like, yeah, like a card or something. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful book. And even sort of like the end cover pages, look, I've got all this beautiful sketches and illustrations on. So yeah, just a gorgeous book. It's by Templar Publishing. They're the ones that put it out there. And I want to tell you the name of the illustrator, but I can't make it out in that particular font. So let's see if it's in the front, because my eyes are getting on a bit. Like, there's no way I can tell you that. Robert Ingson, perhaps? It's either an I or a J. And being a small child, I didn't really think about who the illustrators were. I just liked the pictures, so. Illustration comment. Oh, Robert Ingpen. So like ink pen, but with a G. Go figure. And there's an illustrator's note in there as well, which I will have to read later, because that would be quite interesting to read it now, as a grown illustrator myself. But yes, beautiful. And it's got that lovely foil, copper foil on the front for the Treasure Island bit. Ha ha. So pretty. Right. Another sip of tea, and then we're going on to one of the most darling little books imaginable. Which is a wee bit dusty. Hang on. Let me just give that a wee bit of a polish up, I think. Oh, because it's been on the... Sorry, I just dropped it. Because it's been on the shelf for a while. I'm jealous of all my books. Well, just be grateful. This is only a fraction of the books. The rest of them are elsewhere, so I couldn't actually show them off. The next one is just representative of a whole series of books from an artist who I admire to this very day. When I was little, I wanted to be her. I wanted to draw like her. I wanted to write like her. She was and still remains my absolute hero. And that is Beatrix Potter. This is one of my favourite stories, The Tale of Samuel Whiskers, and that very charming, if not a bit portly, rat on the front. I swear Beatrix Potter is responsible for my absolute adoration of rodents. Mice, rats, you name it, she is responsible for it. Anything small or mischievous, I love them, and it's probably because of her. If you don't know about Beatrix Potter, I can't tell you it all here. She was an amazing woman. really influential, and actually just one of those women who is very relevant historically. She's very, very important, not just as an illustrator and writer, but as a woman. So please go and read everything you can about her. She's wonderful. So these little books, she actually designed them. Yes, she designed them. When she went to the printing press and said, I want to publish my stories, which was not overly heard of back then, a woman sort of making a living for herself, especially in such a way. They wanted to do them sort of quite big, you know, to really make the most of the illustrations. She said, no, I want them to be this big because they're for little hands. These are for children. So they need to be children-sized, which I think is lovely. And I remember holding these books when I was younger. And, oh, our camera's gone again. No! Hang on. Wait. Okay, let me see if I can get it back. I think it's just pieced out on me, isn't it? No. Yeah, I know. I'm still here. I'm just trying to get the camera back. Hang on, hang tight. See what happens. I hope it's not going to require me having to restart the whole PC, because that'd be a real pain in the backside. Let me see. Let me try. We have a few things we can try. Just hang tight, people. That's weird. That's very strange. Okay. I will be back in a second. I need to end stream and then try and reload again. So there will be a part 2, so bear with me. I know, it's such a pain. It's so annoying. I don't know why it does it, why it just pieces out every now and then. Stay put. I will be back. I will be back.